Attorney General Pam Bondi walked into the House Judiciary Committee expecting routine oversight questions. Instead, she got ambushed by video evidence she never saw coming. Congressman Joe Neguse confronted her with damning footage tied directly to her own Justice Department, and the room instantly shifted from hearing to showdown. What followed was a rapid-fire clash of denials, deflections, and mounting tension that left even the committee chairman scrambling to keep order. Voices rose, tempers flared, and Bondi's composure cracked in real time on camera. Stick around, because this explosive exchange is one you'll want to see unfold moment by moment.
Quote, "If you come for law enforcement, the Trump administration will come for you," end quote. I want to show you just a brief video. It's about 30 seconds, and I'll ask you a couple questions about it.
You guys are disgusting, man. Hey, you guys are disgusting. I'm former law enforcement. You're disgusting. You are the Nazi. You are the Gestapo. You can't see it because you're chasing your pension, right? Your pension, your retirement, right? That's what runs your life, your retirement.
The sad thing is they're not even going to get their pension because it's going to be worthless.
And shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Attorney General Bondi, that man works for you now, right?
Who was that, Congressman?
The man in that video, the one who was in the police-worn body cam footage, the one allegedly yelling, "Kill him," at police officers on January 6th, his name is Jared Wise.
He does work for us.
He works for you at the Department of
he
Justice.
does. He does.
This is an individual whom a federal grand jury indicted for 2 felonies and 4 misdemeanors related to his participation in the attack on January 6th. One of those charges was forcibly assaulting, resisting, opposing, impeding, intimidating, and interfering with police with the intent to commit another felony. This is who you choose as the chief law enforcement officer of the United States of America to hire at the Department of Justice. Someone on video yelling, "Kill him," at police officers, right?
I believe he was pardoned by President Trump.
Oh, he was pardoned. You're right. You're right. Pardoned by President Trump for his offense. Pardoned for yelling, "Kill him," at police officers. And yet you expect hardworking police officers across the country to believe that you take law enforcement seriously. You could imagine the reaction of so many folks across the country hearing the chief law enforcement officer of the United States refuse to even condemn what that individual whom you've now hired did.
The testimony involving Attorney General Pam Bondi and Representative Joe Neguse drew attention because it put 2 sharply different approaches to the Justice Department's leadership and priorities on display. The exchange became a focal point of the Judiciary Committee hearing, where lawmakers were pressing Bondi for answers about the department's actions and policies.
But in any event, let's talk a little bit about some of the other divisions within the Department of Justice and what's happened over the last year. You're familiar with the Public Integrity section of the DOJ's Criminal Division. I think it's referred to as PIN. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know which presidential administration under which the PIN was first created?
I can tell you what administration that the weaponization was ended under.
I'll reclaim my time. This wasn't a trick question.
You don't get to
Madam Attorney
reclaim
General.
your time.
Madam Attorney General.
Because I don't like it.
Mr. Chairman, will you explain to the witness that he does reclaim his time?
Because I don't answer a question to your satisfaction?
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Attorney General, the time belongs to the gentleman from Colorado.
The president under which PIN was created was Gerald Ford. It was created after Watergate. I'm not asking a question, Madam Attorney General. The administration under which it was created was Gerald Ford. When you first started as the Attorney General of the United States, there were 35 people working in that office. There are now 2 people working in that office because you have gutted it. How many people work for the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team in the Criminal Division today?
Can I answer the question about PIN?
I've asked you a question. How many
You've
people
asked
work?
me a question, but you don't
How
want
many
the
people
answer.
work
I'm not
for the
gonna answer your
National
questions the way you
Cryptocurrency
want.
Enforcement Team? You won't answer how many
I'll
people?
answer PIN.
You.
Pen will not be
You know what?
weaponized.
You know what?
What's funny
Madam
about
Attorney General,
this?
I'll say to the chairman.
What's funny about this?
Chairman, you know what the answer is? And I think I understand
funny
why the
about
Attorney General
this?
does not want to answer the question. Because you eliminated the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team last year. So I understand why you don't want to tell the American people who works there.
Yeah, I
no one
understand
works
why
there
you don't want to
anymore,
talk about
Madam
Mohammed
Attorney
Solomon
General.
in
So,
your district.
In any event,
who
I would
murdered people.
Mr. Chairman, will you stop the clock so his time is not wasted by
I've
the
been
witness?
very generous with allowing extra time when we have these little disputes.
I understand.
You got the time, Mr. Neguse.
I might as well ask the chairman these questions.
I'd be happy
because
to answer
what
some
is
of your
fun-
questions.
What's profound, the questions I've
Profound?
asked,
The crime in your
I've
district.
asked, Mr. Chairman, are not trick questions. They're not gotcha questions. They're actually basic questions about how the Department of Justice functions.
Neguse's questioning centered on accountability, while Bondi defended her record and the direction of the Justice Department. That contrast is important because congressional hearings are not simply about individual disagreements. They are also a mechanism for lawmakers to publicly examine how executive officials are using their authority.
And the unwillingness of this Attorney General to answer them in good faith. When a member of Congress asks how many people work at the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team and the Attorney General refuses to answer it, it is not a coincidence. It's because she eliminated the team. Why? Because her boss, the President of the United States, is making money hand over fist, $1.4 billion over the course of the last year through cryptocurrency holdings. I think what is happening at the Department of Justice is a disgrace, Mr. Chairman, and I would urge you to gain control of this hearing. With that, I yield back the balance of my time.
Yeah. I would ask the gentleman, does he agree with the standing up of the Deputy Attorney General for dealing with fraud? That's something that's happened in this administration. First time. You talked about Penn. That happened with this Justice Department.
We're talking about this committee.
Mr. Chairman, had you answered the question, had the Attorney General answered the question in that way, perhaps this hearing would have some modicum of resembling something that has typically been fairly conventional, an oversight hearing of the Department of Justice.
The gentleman's
That is
time
not
has expired. The gentlelady from Wyoming.
Attorney General Pam Bondi walked into the House Judiciary Committee chamber for a routine oversight hearing, and it turned into anything but routine. What was supposed to be a standard check-in on the Department of Justice's operations quickly became one of the most contentious appearances by a sitting AG in recent memory. Lawmakers pressed her on everything from the handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files to the fatal shootings of 2 U.S. citizens in Minnesota by federal officers, but it was her exchange with Representative Joe Neguse of Colorado that stole the spotlight and now dominates headlines. Neguse came prepared, opening his questioning with video evidence rather than a vague accusation, a move that immediately put Bondi on the defensive and set the tone for one of the tensest moments of the entire hearing. The confrontation centered on Jared Wise, a man who was indicted on multiple felony and misdemeanor charges for his role in the January 6th Capitol attack, including allegations that he shouted for violence against police officers. Neguse revealed that Wise now holds a position at the very department Bondi leads and pressed her to confirm it on the record. She did, acknowledging both his employment and the fact that he had been pardoned. What followed was a rapid back and forth where Neguse hammered the contradiction of an attorney general who claims to back law enforcement while employing someone connected to violence against police, and Bondi pushed back by questioning his tone rather than directly engaging with the substance. The exchange grew heated enough that Neguse eventually turned to Committee Chairman Jim Jordan and asked him to rein in the room, a telling sign of just how far the temperature had risen. This wasn't an isolated flare-up either. Throughout the hearing, Bondi sparred with multiple Democrats, at one point telling Representative Thomas Massie he was suffering from what she called Trump derangement syndrome, after he criticized the DOJ's redactions in the Epstein files. She clashed with Representative Pramila Jayapal after being asked to personally apologize to Epstein survivors seated in the room, dismissing the request as theatrics. Representative Jerry Nadler pushed her on the lack of indictments against alleged Epstein co-conspirators and got a similarly combative response. A pattern emerged where Bondi frequently pivoted away from direct answers by citing crime statistics in individual lawmakers' districts, a tactic that visibly frustrated members on the other side of the aisle and drew criticism for deflecting rather than answering. Stepping back from the moment-to-moment drama, what stands out is the strategic shift in how this Attorney General handles adversarial questioning. Rather than offering measured, evasive non-answers the way officials in her position often do, Bondi met confrontation with confrontation, turning nearly every question into an opportunity to go on offense. That approach may play well with a base that wants to see a fighter, but it comes with real costs in a setting built around accountability. When a sitting AG responds to a direct question about employing someone tied to violence against police by attacking the questioner's motives instead of addressing the substance, it says something about how seriously transparency is being treated at the top of the Justice Department. The optics of Epstein survivors sitting feet away while these exchanges played out only sharpened the sense that this was a hearing about credibility as much as policy. Ultimately, moments like the one between Bondi and Neguse matter beyond the news cycle because they reveal how power responds when it's questioned directly. An attorney general is supposed to be the country's top law enforcement official, someone whose credibility with both Congress and the public rests on straight answers, especially on something as serious as who gets hired to represent that office. Sidestepping that question or trying to flip it back on the person asking doesn't inspire confidence, it raises more of it. Whatever side of the aisle you sit on, hearings like this one are a reminder that oversight only works when the people being questioned treat the process with the seriousness it deserves. And on that count, this hearing left a lot to be desired.